when I was still a beginner in pool, and even for a very, very long time after that, whenever I was facing this shot where the object ball is frozen to the rail, I was so afraid because I never really knew how to aim that shot. And sometimes I was making it perfectly down the rail into the pocket, and sometimes I missed it, and I didn't know why. And I'm sure many of you are facing the same problem. So let's talk about that one. This is really interesting. We're going to talk about how to aim the shot, where exactly the cue ball needs to hit. We're also going to use different angles, and I'm going to show you how you can use side spin to make the shot easier. But let's first play the shot without any side spin. So when I'm down on the shot and I'm aiming the shot, let's just see how that looks and what happens. Now, I missed the shot, and the first question that always came to my mind is, did I miss the shot because I was aiming too full? So what this mean by aiming too full? I mean, hopefully you can see that. Does the cue ball hit the ball before it hits the rail, or does the cue ball hit the rail, come out of the rail, and then hit the ball? And basically you can see it's the same contact point as hitting too full. So the object ball will react exactly the same way, and this is why I never really knew if I'm hitting it too full or too thin. So let's give it another try. And the easy way to see if you're hitting that ball too full or too thin is by watching how the cue ball reacts. So let's aim that intentionally a bit too full. So I'm not going to hit the rail first. I'm not going to hit the right spot, which I'm going to tell you later what the right spot is. I'm just aiming it too full. Now look what the cue ball does in that case. Did you see that the cue ball is going forward and it loses a bit of its energy? Now let's just compare the very same shot and hit the ball differently from the same angle, where I'm this time aiming it too thin. This means the cue ball hits the rail, comes out of the rail, and then hits the ball. Now just see what the cue ball does this time. Okay, I exaggerated it, but did you see how much more energy the cue ball has left? And this is how you can, when you're practicing these kind of shots, how you can immediately identify if you were hitting it too full or too thin. Let's do it a bit closer, because this was aimed way too thin, so let's get a bit closer. But still, you can see how much more energy the cue ball has left in that case. So this is the first indication how you can get a rough idea if you're hitting that ball too full or too thin. Because as I mentioned, the object ball will pretty much react identical, because one time you're coming from the rail, you're hitting it here, and the other time you're coming directly without hitting the rail, hitting here. This means the object ball will just travel the same path, so you have to watch how the cue ball reacts to identify that. Now the big question is, where do you need to aim that ball to make it into the heart of the pocket? Let's have another look. Very, very important lesson. So when the cue ball comes and hits the ball, so the object ball and the rail at the same time, is this the right spot to aim? Unfortunately, it isn't, because what happens is, if you're hitting the rail and the ball at the same time, the ball will push the rail, because you can see the ball is coming from that direction. It hits the rail and the ball at the same time. It will push the ball a tiny, tiny bit into the rail, and this means the ball will also come out of the rail, because there is something called throw. This is important to understand. You don't want to hit at the same time. This is a very common misconception. What you actually want to do is, don't hit the rail that much in front, but just a tiny, tiny bit, because what happens is the rail compresses a bit, the cue ball gets a bit into the rail, hits the object ball, and this eliminates that throw, and the ball will go perfectly along the rail into the pocket. So let's give that a try. I hope that makes sense. So let's just try to not aim to the spot where the cue ball will hit the object ball and the rail at the same time, but just a tiny, tiny bit before. You can see also the cue ball had a bit of spin. The cue ball was going forward and we made the ball into the heart of the pocket. This is really, really important to understand. Now, if this is too complicated for you, what you could do is, if you want to get a bit closer to aiming to hit the ball and the rail at the same time, what you can do is just hit a bit harder. That way, the cue ball won't push the object ball that far into the rail and you have a better chance. So by hitting harder, you can actually aim a bit closer to hitting the ball and the rail at the same time. Let's give that a try. You can see the ball almost dropped, but the problem is if you're hitting it hard, if the object ball just gets a bit off the rail, this pocket will actually get smaller, and this is exactly what happened here. I hit it pretty well, but it just got a bit off the rail, and if you're hitting so hard, the cue ball or the object ball will rattle in the pocket and not drop, compared to hitting it softer where it has a better chance to drop. So, what can we do? Well, first of all, you can find something in between, so not hitting it too soft, but also not too hard. There you have the best mix of still being able to make the ball just like that, but still the pocket will accept the balls. Or what you also have as an option, which is really interesting here, you can use some spin. The first way, or the first thing you can do, is use left spin, so outside spin in that case. So what the left spin does, if you hit the ball and the rail at the same time, where the ball would usually push the ball, the cue ball would push the ball into the rail and bring it out, what the left spin does, it throws the object ball, well, I don't want to make this too complicated, but it straightens it out, so this prevents the push a bit. Let's keep it simple. I don't want to go too deep into the physics because this confuses you. So just by using left spin, outside gearing spin, this will just cancel the throw out and you can basically aim to the rail and the object ball at the same time. Long story short, so left spin, outside spin in that case. I like to also use low. Then you can aim to the real spot where the cue ball hits the object ball and the rail at the same time. Just like that. Okay, this is the first option. But there is also another option, which is a bit easier if you don't need to control the cue ball. Because instead of hitting left spin in that case, you can also use right spin as you're seeing here. And what the right spin does is, it gives you a bit more margin on where exactly you can hit the rail. Because if the cue ball hits in front of the object ball, what the right spin does after the cue ball compresses into the rail, it wants to make the cue ball go to the object ball, and that way you will hit the right spot on the object ball, and you have pretty much a big margin. Let's say from here to here, you can hit wherever you want on that rail. The right spin will make the cue ball go to the object ball, and this is how you can make it into the pocket. Let's give that a try. I'm just gonna use right spin. I'm aiming just before that ball with inside spin, right spin. And you can see that way I also have a really good chance to make the ball. The cue ball will go into a different direction though. And what I really like to do is, with that right spin is, I wanna use that right spin, especially when I'm having a lot of angle on the shot, because this makes it so much easier. So here, I would always play that shot with right spin, and just right spin, no low, no high. Aim a bit in front of the ball. And you can see it goes perfectly along the rail. And the cool thing is, where you really see this effect, let's put the ball, let's say to here. Let's give ourselves that angle, which is really, really almost impossible to cut without any spin. Let's make it even more difficult like that. Then you can even make cut shots like that. Isn't that crazy? So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more.